2022 meeting of the Carlington School District Board of Directors is officially called to order. Ms. Morosco? No.
Mazzocca.
Mazzocca. Ms. Mazzocca, would you mind doing it? Eventually, I'll get it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Honchar?
Here.
Director Frank?
Here.
Director Apple?
Here.
Director Simsek? Here. Director Puska? Here. Director O'Brien?
She's not able to be here tonight.
Director Zalewski?
Here.
Director Bogliano? Here. Director Schreiber?
Here. There's a time at the beginning of each meeting where you invite the public to comment on any agenda items. Is there anybody in the audience tonight that wishes to speak on an agenda item? Seeing nobody ask for that, we will move on. I'll go to the minutes of previous meetings. I'll entertain a motion to approve two items. Number one, voting meeting minutes of October 18th, 2022, and number two, the committee meeting minutes from November 8th, 2022. Do I have a motion for those two items?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion or questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. I'll report that we had an executive session prior to this meeting where we discussed personnel matters. And I'll turn to Dr. Crater for a superintendent report.
Good, thank you, Director Schreiber. We have a few reports. We'll start off with Dr. Manich. Dr. Manich has a report that he will give on enrollment, just based on the 2022-2023 school year. And I believe the board should have a packet that he has provided.
You should have one sitting there. I didn't put one for the PowerPoint. But just to highlight a few points on there, there's a lot of statistics in there. I did it by building. So on the first page, basically the Carnegie statistics based on grade level and ethnicity. The total number of students we have in our Carnegie building right now is 372. In Crafton, we have 289. Again, broken down by grade level and ethnicity. The Carlington Junior Senior High School, we have a total of 593 students. Again, broken down from grades level 7 to 12, again by grade level and ethnicity. Some of the things I want to remark about in our statistics we have is the comparisons we have of a trend over the past 4 years. On that particular page, since 1920 till now, we have shown a decrease to Carnegie Elementary of 3.13%. Crafton Elementary is down 9.4%, and Carlington Junior High School is down at 1.98% over that past 4 years. So that's one thing I just want to remark about. The district level numbers by grade level, I kind of included that in there. As they move through the district, as they move through the high school, it's just a matter of combining the two elementary schools by grade level and filtering them into high school, so we can see where we are progressing as the kids come through each grade level, what we're going to have when they eventually reach the high school. Would be the next one. And the last one is just our demographics we have with the different buildings and percentages within inside the district. A couple of things that we're increasing is the Asian population, which is becoming more increased through the ESL program in the Carnegie Elementary School, which is then trickling down the rest of the demographics to show kind of a lower trend. So that, actually going over every single one of them, that's kind of the overview of what our district has as far as our demographics, our numbers, and what our trends are over the past 4 years. So, with that in mind, if you have any questions,
And the enrollment numbers that you pulled, they're current as of
Yesterday,
correct? Right.
you're as of yesterday. I pulled them
Does that include the students that are enrolled in the cyber program?
That includes, because our students that are enrolled in the cyber program are still enrolled in the district. They are still members of each of the individual buildings. So just because the modality is different, they're still included in this particular statistic. When you start talking about like numbers and you start talking about percentages, for So like Carnegie's from last year to this year, we're down like 5 students. I mean, we're a small district. You know, the big thing is Grafton. Grafton's down 25 from one year to the next. For some, we're down 25 students this year. And then the high school was down 3 from the previous year. So, you know, that's like from 2021, 22 to 22, 23. But our trend from 5 years ago is kind of a little bigger deal for us. Where are we trending over time? And that's kind of where we are.
Any thoughts on like the bigger decrease in Crafton Elementary as opposed to the other two schools?
Now, it's hard to
What the
say.
cause might be, or
It's really hard to say why there's a 25, you know, unless we would run some kind of survey. But, you know, it could be just, you know, the kids coming into the district. We might have, you know, less kindergarten kids coming in from one year to the next.
I guess what I was getting at
Yeah.
is you don't know whether it's like we see more people going to like homeschool or charter school or things like that, like students that we maybe had in say kindergarten through 3rd grade, and then all of a sudden they're in 4th grade and they're not there, but we know they still live in the district.
No, I really couldn't figure out
We don't
where
know that
they would
track.
come from, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I would dig deeper somewhere, maybe I could find a few. But, you know, when I looked at the Crafton, like this year, Crafton Elementary has, you know, 39 kindergartens.
Yeah.
You know, where you look at Carnegie, and Carnegie had 67. You know, I always look at the district and say, you know, over the course of time that I've been here, we've been averaging about 100 students
Yeah.
per grade level. You know, so every time we talk about numbers-wise basis, they sound like 100. So when you take the 67 to 39, how many kindergartens do we have? 106.
Yeah.
They're just distributed different. So,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. I remember, and some of you folks will remember too, just a few years ago, we had that big lump of kids coming through Crafton Elementary that we had to have every year, like an extra section.
They're now at 8.
I was gonna say there's probably about 8th, 9th grade, maybe
Maybe
9th.
9th.
Yeah, 9th grade.
9.
yeah, we see them sitting there in 9th grade at about 115.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of where they'd be sitting right about now.
Yeah, the other data we could pull would be average daily membership. And average daily membership includes basically every school-aged child living in the Carlinton School District, which would give our numbers larger, but that would include students who are going to charter, students who are going to private schools and so on. That would give a different set of numbers too, which then we may be able to cross and see if we have more of an increase with students leaving the district. But from what we've seen through the registration office, we haven't seen that trend happening.
No, not at all.
So I remember when I first got on the board, the rough numbers of enrollment were 450 for Carnegie, 350 for Crafton, and 650 for the high school, ballpark numbers. And so we've, if, assuming for a second those were roughly directionally accurate, we've come down quite a bit from that, maybe 10-ish years ago. So if that was correct, the decline is even more steep. And I think, so your suggestion and Joe's question, I think, are really ones that I'm curious about. So I'm wondering if, even if it takes a couple of months to put together, but kind of digging into the numbers and saying, what are the potential students in each community that could come to our district? Of them, how many do come to our district? You can look at assigning each student number to each student and looking at how many students enter as a kindergartner and stay for 12 years versus how many enter for 2 or 3 years and leave. You can look at that at the building level. So there's a bunch of different slicing and dicing, I imagine, that could be done, at least to give us context for what it is we're looking at. So I think you've done a great job of championing the Carlington cyber program, which has been a great benefit. One of the questions that came out of those meetings were how many of our potential students are taking that route? Just so we know. I mean, in some cases, they're taking.
On the it for exterior reasons- side, not the interior.
Correct, yeah. So I think there's a couple questions there. Any other board members find those questions compelling, or would we like to dig into that a little bit, or am I on an island?
I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think those are good questions. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm
curious about what's causing the trends, but I'm more curious about what this means for us as a board and whether or not the trends can be used to predict anything, right? Is the Carnegie 67 students this year a blip in kindergarten? Are we expecting that we need to then think about more teachers at Carnegie to follow that group the way that there were at Crafton a few years ago? So I think that contextualizing this within the larger kind of Allegheny County population, in terms of if the county is losing population and we're growing, and we're also losing population, that suggests that we might continue to follow Allegheny County's trends, right? So then what does it mean in terms of how we need to plan for the future of our district? That's where I'd like to see some more analysis.
Very good. Anybody else have thoughts?
I'm thinking for the future, we have so many Middle Eastern kids, and we have no column. But we have a column for Hawaiian kids, and we have zero. What's the reasoning for
The
that?
reasoning for that is that the state requires you to have these designs. So even when you have the Middle Eastern kids, how do they, classify themselves? Like you see in a lot of them classify themselves as Asian. So we've had an increase in the Asian population,
Okay.
right? Because, there's really not a demographic in the state that's gonna give them one for, let's say, like Middle Eastern or Arab or, so they kind of have to pick at that time. And then based on what we send out to the state as what the parents enroll as, we use that particular number. Even though we know that they may be of Arab descent,
Yeah.
if they put white on the application, we put white.
Oh, I see.
And if they put Asian, we put Asian,
Thank you.
so that's what we have to do.
Well, Jim, just going back to what especially kind of like what Joe was saying, I do think it would be interesting to be able to see, along with this, a trend of how many kids that are in our district are homeschooled, go to private school, or are on, a cyber school, or something like that, and be able to compare and contrast, because there's lots of different reasons why people do different things, but over time, the trends should tell some kind of story.
I agree.
Good point.
So maybe
And those
those
should be, those are numbers we have, right?
Yes.
Because I think if you're trying to figure out when someone drops out, where are they going, are they leaving the district, that can be difficult, but that should be a pretty easy statistic to generate.
Could we go back 20 years? Is that going too far? Is that too difficult? Do we have the data available? 20?
I don't know how used to let it be.
Just trend data.
Yeah.
That's the thing, to me, it's like, you've got that big red 2020 right there, and that was the year that all sorts of crazy stuff happened. And what I'm kind of wondering is if there's some kind of relation to that. If, in other words, if, 2020, 21, we were mostly, or we were, remote, and then kids had the option in the following year, that sort of thing. If maybe some parents were like, you know what, I'm just gonna have my kid go to cyber school.
We know some
because it was
parents,
good
I
for
mean,
them, and
for good reason.
or,
yeah.
or you know what, we're gonna homeschool because I don't want to be jerking them in and out of school and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I look at Carnegie's numbers and I think, well, maybe they'd be even higher, if we didn't have this. I mean, maybe the influx of students we're getting from, that are placed in Carnegie are kind of like making those numbers like not drop as much as, say, Crafton is.
I agree that the pandemic changed everything, so I would imagine any data set we have, school-related, is going to look different in those couple of years. So.
Yeah, and I'm just spitballing. I don't want to say, well, I've got an idea looking for statistics to back it up.
Right.
I just
Right.
would like to know because, like Susie says, it's something that would help us with planning, from everything from staffing to programming to.
Right. From my perspective, if the numbers had been flat for 15 years and then we hit 2020 and things got crazy,
Right.
that makes sense. But they've been gently, slightly declining for 10 years. And then we have a pandemic on top of that. So I'd be curious, are there insights that we can gain from that? I know in 2012, 2013, the cyber component was a relatively small piece. Seeing how that grow, like if we could take all of our declines and if it's easy to equate them to that exact amount of increase in our cyber population, then we have somewhat of an answer, like, okay, well, there's where the kids went. Or if they don't correlate, then we have a different question. So I think just arming ourselves with the data would be really helpful.
And I think the stuff that Dr. Carter was talking about, which is the full population of school-age kids, will tell us something, because it could be that, and again, spitballing, but you look at what happened with real estate prices and things like that. Maybe people that are looking for a bigger house, they find a big old house in Carnegie or Crafton, and they just wanted more space, and they don't necessarily have a bunch of school-age kids either. So who knows?
Yep.
Good.
Thanks.
Steve.
Good info.
Thank you. Next up, we have building level leadership at both Carnegie and Crafton Elementary. We have Mrs. Burleson and Mrs. Mazzocco to give an update on elementary.
Stand united.
It might be your laptop, might be sleeping.
I feel like the show see you, like, I can just see over God.
All right, I want to, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm echoing, so I'm going to stand here. Thank you for letting me present to you today. I have so many great things to share, so I appreciate you taking the time and seeing and listening. And I always invite any of you to come to Crafton and take a tour. We have some new and exciting things that even if you were just there last year, you didn't see it. So feel free to come by. I would love to take you around. So I always start with our 3 Bs. School-wide positive behavior interventions and supports are very important at Crafton. I kind of make that the foundation of everything. In staff meetings, in assemblies, we always start with the positive culture, the positive climate, and presenting those 3 Bs. They're always the same, so respectful, responsible, ready. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in some upcoming slides. So we received some grants and awards this year, so I'm very proud of them. One of the grants, thanking also Dr. Mantage, is the Lego Lab. So if you haven't seen that, please swing by. It is amazing, and it has been such a positive addition to Crafton. It is where the STEAM room was, if you can remember, on the 3rd floor. When you walk in, Image 360, which is now I call Noble, we partner with them. They're right at the bottom of the hill at St. Philip's, and they did all our decals. So there's these really cool Lego decals in the hallway, inside, and then I think they felt bad for me because I had these grand ideas and didn't know where to go with them, but it worked in my favor. So they helped create this Lego table that's in the center of our room. It's this huge table with Lego kind of tiles on the side with our emblem. That's a decal, but it looks like it's made from Legos. And then the whole entire side of it is bins full of Legos donated by families, either bought or donated. So it was fantastic. We also, I'll talk more about that, our award we received from PBIS, a grant through American Diabetes Association, and the Children's. So each slide, I'll talk a little bit. That's our, you can see the Lego table. We opened up with our grand opening through PTA called Books and Bricks. It was our Scholastic, we usually linked it with our open house, but because it was a meet and greet, they didn't have the open house, so we did Books and Bricks so we could still do the Scholastic. And the students and the parents just spent hours in there playing with Legos. Around the Lego table are other tables that a parent refurbished and put actual Lego tiles on the top of it for us. So it was amazing. Like I said, the Lego table, the wall decals, we were able to purchase the Lego curriculum K through 6. That is right now going through our library STEAM with Amanda Siriani. And then, of course, our parents are amazing. So they did donations, they refurbished our tables, they volunteered for that night, and even to kind of just help set it up for a big evening. We even have a Lego Crafted Elementary made out of Legos, as you see right there. So I have not put it in the Lego room yet because we don't have a magical plexiglass cover, and I would be devastated if a child bumped into it and it just like crashed. So it's in my office right now, so if you ever want to come by and see it, I actually have a friend who's the principal at Montour, and he does that, that's his side gig, is he creates building out of Lego. So he was able to give us a really good deal on that. So come by and see that. The next grant was, or not next, this is an award we received. We are at the initial phase of PBIS, which means we're gonna get a great big banner that we're going in a couple weeks at Hershey. You'll see a big picture of me and Rebecca Braithwaite with this banner. We're gonna receive it that day. Just through the constant partnership with AIU, them coming to interview our staff and our students. I think I talked about it a little bit. And then our coupons, our PAWs, our Students of the Month, everything that we just embed in our school every single day. We received a grant through American Diabetes Association. There's a community member that works and reached out and thought it would be great to start the partnership with Crafton. What they provide for us is a free professional development to Mr. Figarelli, who teaches health. So he'll be able to use his health classes and push out the different curriculum, the health curriculum, and they gave him cool flair, like sunglasses and pins, and the kids love it. And when we complete this, we will receive a grant for our school, so $1,500 if we get a straight A for that. And then the Chill mobile unit was so exciting yesterday. Pierogies came, the parrot came, and they kicked off this assembly. It was really exciting. The kids loved it. They did actual pierogi race through our auditorium, through the hall, and Sal won, in case you were wondering. It also comes with professional development, which they will receive in our staffing. So tomorrow will be their first professional development with the staff. They'll go over mindfulness, coping strategies, and they'll also each receive a chill corner for their classroom. It's pretty nice. There's different fidget tools, not toys, tools, a cushion, a rug, things like that. It's pretty nice. So that will happen tomorrow. And then if you saw it, if you haven't, drive by the new parking lot. It has a big van that looks like a baseball, and that is the mobile unit. So a lot of the students got to go in it today. And I know I'm old because when I walked in, it was so cool. But the sides are all projected with like fish and water. So when you move, like the waves go, and I was like, the kids were like, whoa, this is so cool. I'm like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna fall off. Like, I was so like seasick. That's because I'm old. So far, just started like yesterday, like I said, but it's really amazing. Just some of the things that we're able to bring into the school, and the kids are so receptive and love it. So, and just to continue the mental health from the Chill, segue from the Chill mobile, we do have the Wesley-based therapist 3 days a week. That's been working well. The Chill mobile 3 times a year. Miss Braithwaite we're sharing with Carnegie, so half time. I do have my full-time counselor, but she does teach PAWs every other day. She's doing a great job too, so if you haven't met her, stop by when you see the Lego lab. The mindfulness room with sensory nooks, and then we also have the SAP team that works closely with HSAO. And things that we continue to do with the community, we have food drives, the Amazing Alternatives, which is led by Miss Ward, and she does different things throughout the year. She also collects food, she collects things for the Humane Society, and local families in need. Then we have the Giving Tree during the holiday season. We always partner with Miss Luxenbach, I forgot how to say her name. Luxbacher, yes, and she always donates trees or provides trees for our students at Arbor Day and does Earth Day activities. Miss Rust, whose brother is a beekeeper, comes and visits and does some bee activities. And this is all, they volunteered to do this with our students, and bringing the community in is very amazing. So then, just some upcoming things. I put that in there even though that happened today, it's this week, but it's our first visit from the Chill Mobile unit. Hour of Code is coming up the week of December 5th, and we partner with Amazon. That is another community person in the neighborhood, and he comes. Justin Marks, yes. I don't even know how we connected, but somehow we connected, and he brings several people from Amazon in different departments, sales, the robotics, the different pieces, and they volunteer their time again, and they come and they do like an hour of coding with our students, if it's Scratch Junior, or if it's a Flappy Bird kind of activity or a dance party. The kids really enjoy it. So he'll be back, and I think he's partnering with Carnegie too, so that'll be
He
exciting.
was so kind to hook me up with.
That's your thing, that's your
That is
thing.
my world.
That's your world.
Super excited about it.
And then just our character trait days coming up, our PTA days, and then Jingle Bell Junction. So it's nice to get back to the future, where we can do these events again. So, do you have any questions for me?
How's the new parking lot?
Wonderful, wonderful. And just like currently, our poor Chill Mobile unit could not swing into the parking lot, like the side where we wanted them to park. They couldn't do the garbage can there, or the dumpster, so they were able to pull into that parking lot, which was perfect. And it just works out. Teachers can now, they don't have to worry about like trying to fit in places or substitutes that come in. They always have a place to park. We're seeing nothing but great things coming from that. So, yeah, thank you.
Speaking of the parking lot, do you have any thoughts on maybe a more efficient use in terms of like dropping kids off, the parents that drive their kids, or anything like that, or any safety concerns you want to share with us about it, since you're there every day?
I know. I think the only thing with the parking lot, maybe some more clear signage might be helpful, like an in and out way. Maybe it says parking for Crafton during whatever hours or however we want to word it. But I think clear signage, because I think cars are trying to go in and out of both,
Maybe you could talk to Al and just brainstorm on what you'd like to see, and we can make that happen.
I think that even just that little bit would be helpful at this point.
Good point.
Yeah, I think what we discussed was some markings just on the asphalt itself, just as directional arrows, and then maybe some signage.
Is there a crosswalk across, marked on the road?
No, which I was thinking about that today actually when we were crossing the kids over to the Chill there. So from the actual parking lot, you still would have to cross over a little street to get to the crosswalk, to go down and cross another street. But I didn't know, we were just saying, could a crosswalk be right at that first corner? But I know the crossing guard stands at the other corner. I don't know if that has to do with where the crosswalk is.
Probably.
Right.
I think Crafton Borough submitted for a grant to help restore that whole section of road, and part of that, Dr. Crater and Dennis at the time were talking about maybe doing some renovations of our own there. So I think that topic was one of the topics that had been discussed in that. So if that grant gets approved through Crafton Borough, through the state, or some other organizations, then we should, you should be involved, we should have those conversations and see what's possible.
That would be great. The sign says principal parking.
Right.
Right? They said don't, safety guy said don't do that. No parking.
That's
Right?
right.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, so I'm up next, I guess. I guess the theme of Carnegie Elementary is new this year. And that starts with a lot of newness, aside from myself. It would be the new kindergarten room. We did transition students into a new room in the end of October. We had a seamless process. I have to credit my teachers and making sure that everyone was well informed, as well as Dr. Mantich, who came over and assisted with some of the making room and appropriations. And we had just a bunch of staff that also pitched in and making sure that we had adequate space to welcome our kindergartners. And Ms. Brosnick, our new teacher, was able to push into the other kindergarten rooms to really help make the children feel at ease with that transition. And it was just golden. They hit the ground running, and it's been a great transition. We had data meetings today, and all of the kindergarten teachers said that they just noticed such a big difference in the classroom environment, in their ability to meet the students' needs at a more rapid pace. So we're very pleased with the way that transition has come. The second thing that we should talk about is the ESL services. As you heard from Dr. Mantich, we are having some growing numbers in that population, and with that we welcomed an additional ESL teacher from the AIU3. Mrs. McCleary, she services our students K-2, and Mrs. Costello services our children grades 3 through 6. And in so doing, their aim is really to get those students who are having that language barrier able to acclimate back to their classroom as much as possible, but with still pulling them out into small groups to make that go more seamless for them. And so they've just been a wonderful addition and very necessary considering our growing language needs at Carnegie Elementary. We have students speaking 30 different native languages at the building, I think, and with French, Ukrainian, and Arabic being some of the main ones that we have over there. And lastly, in the category of newness, we have a digital sign now. So visitors, students, and staff are welcomed with warm messages from Carnegie Elementary and other pertinent information on the digital sign. And just to reiterate some of the points that Marcia had made about the CHILL project, Carnegie Elementary is a regional leader and really the front runner for that kind of method in the school setting. And Miss Laura has been a welcome addition as well. She's an educator with 30 years of experience in Detroit. She comes to us with a trauma-informed background, really just a high level of expertise in this field. Along with that comes our friend Doobie, the certified therapy dog. He is considered hypoallergenic, and he's just really one of the bright points in the Children's Day, as well as many of the dogs. I know Dr. Mantich finds him quite his friend.
Where I am into flying.
I've witnessed it, so it is true. Along with that, though, we also have our counselor, who is Miss Ellie Lohman. She's been a welcome addition as well as a new counselor. She used to be in the CHILL project. She was the lead educator in that program, and then she's matriculated over into our staff as our national certified school counselor. So we're very thankful for her services. And again, like I said, the partnership with AHN at Carnegie is serving as a model in our region, really promoting mindfulness. And that's even spiraled into the classrooms where teachers have taken the lead in creating corners for students to utilize as a safe space for times of restorative nature and mindfulness as well. And I can't say enough about how impressed I am with the collaboratives that Carnegie Elementary has with their community partners. I've had the opportunity to meet with some of them, and it's just really inspiring to see the type of support and reciprocation in that collaborative between those partners and the desire to want to, add any benefit that they can or value to the students at Carnegie Elementary. Some of those that have stuck out in my mind are the partnership with the Rotary and the Early Act Club. We've done a canned food drive that was to benefit the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank. And they, in turn, reciprocated by, they had an overflow this season, and they've now donated it back to our free store. So again, it's just that reciprocation and that cycle that's just really, it's inspiring to see. We have another example of that with the Mission Pittsburgh and a couple that provide the milk and bread for our families in need weekly, as well as they stock the free fridge over at St. John's Church. And today, just today, we were able to we were donated 50 turkeys, and we were able to disseminate them to families in need thanks to the Shofin Lahana Foundation, who partnered with The Bigger Picture, and that's with Pittsburgh Steeler Najee Harris, in case you're unfamiliar. So that was just something that kind of fell into my lap, and I was just taken aback by that generosity. And something new for us is the Andrew Carnegie partnership, that they are going to supply all of the students at Carnegie Elementary with free library cards, and they are coming in the next next week to distribute those and talk about the library services that are available to them. And again, just like what's on the horizon for Carnegie Elementary, the Andrew Carnegie partnership with the free library cards in November. Thanks to my dear friend Marsha, we are going to have Future Engineers hosted by Amazon and Justin Marks and his volunteer group sometime in December. We will welcome the Carlington High School Band for a seasonal performance, and we will also be looking to our partnership with Ms. Volz from the high school with Mr. Alexander, and their students are going to be working on a butterfly project hosted by the Holocaust Center of Pittsburgh. And finally, in January, we're going to be hosting a community safety event in partnership with UPMC and several other community organizations as well, to provide safety information and some paraphernalia for community safety. And that's it. There's a snapshot of some of the things I've captured in my time there so far.
How's your acclimation period?
I've been warmly welcomed, and I couldn't be more appreciative of that by both the staff, the administration, the parents, and my students. So I'm very thankful. I feel very appreciative, and I'm humbled by that appreciation that has reciprocated back to me as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very good. Good stuff.
From the district level, just a quick report. Last Wednesday, November 9th, the district responded to a police matter in the Queen Tree area and issued a modified hold in place at both of our elementary schools. As the situation developed, the district remained in contact with Carnegie Police Department and ultimately decided to hold district transportation to our communities until we received information from Carnegie Police that at that time whether it would be safe to transport our students home. Ultimately, our students remained on site for approximately 1 hour past the dismissal time. Naturally, situations of this nature require a significant amount of coordination with a variety of organizations. The district is appreciative of our building level leadership, all of our staff members across the district who assisted in creating a safe and calm environment for our students. We're thankful for local police departments both in Carnegie and Crafton. They increased the number of patrols in the areas as our kids were being dismissed and boarding on buses as well. And also to our transportation provider with Monarch and all of our bus drivers for their continued cooperation. So it was a united front as far as the efforts that we did to keep our students safe. Anytime we have a safety issue of that nature, we get our safety team back together again. We review the incident. We put an email out to our staff members to provide any type of feedback that they could based on what their experience was, what the communication model looked like, and how the information was received at the building level, just so we can refine our practices for future events. Also, as the winter weather starts to approach, we will be sending out a reminder to all of our families about the using of flexible instructional days. The district is allowed to use up to 5 flexible instruction days per year. We use those in the event of inclement weather or any types of other emergency related types of issues. We will still continue to push out information via email, our phone blasts, and then all that information is also posted on the district website. We push it out through the app. Major networks, KDKA, WPXI, WTAE also post that information up for us. One of the things as far with the safety issue, There are still some parents that indicate that they're not receiving some of our e-blast. So we do encourage anyone who's not getting e-blast or not getting the robocalls, we ask them to either contact building level administrators. They take that information, they process it on to Rachel Byerly. So the most direct and easy way to get the information changed is to contact Rachel. That's at rachel.byerly@carleton.k12.pa.us. Or you can also reach her by phone, 412-429-1102. Again, Rachel Byerly at carleton.k12.pa.us. And then additional information we'll send out via email to our families as well as bids start to come up.
Can I ask a question about the flexible instruction today? I know we had a parent comment about there not being quite enough substance to the material presented on flexible instruction days. So are we addressing that in some manner, or?
Yes, yeah. So as far as the substance aspect is we provided teachers with time during professional development this past, 2 weeks ago, November, Monday, right before Election Day, to go through and prepare their sites so that in the event we have to move into a FID day. So the 3 through 12 teachers have access to their Google Classroom sites, and then K through 2 to send out information via hard copy. To make sure that they're continuing to align the FID type of instruction with the daily course of operations as well. The FID application we have on file, I believe, expires at the end of this year, and then we'll have to go through and renew. And there may be some changes that we put. When we developed that FID plan, it was prior to the pandemic, prior to our experience with Google Classroom and a lot of remote learning opportunities that we had, so we may refine that application to include some different types of alternatives for our kids.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Chris, I like your question, though, if I could follow up.
Mhm.
What we think we learned about remote education during the pandemic, does that change how we want to approach a FID day?
Yeah, so I think that's the part we'll include in our new application is what we learned from the pandemic. That more personalized interaction between our kids and our teachers.
Do we think it's possible to be effective? Do we think it's, on the whole, assuming we have one day here, one day there, some random days, is it better to try to hold the FID day because we think we can achieve enough? Or is it better to give the kids a day off and start fresh the next morning?
I think it's important to weigh those options. Throughout the course of the school year, we do have built-in days where we can make up those snow days that are built in around some of our breaks.
Right.
I don't think it would be effective to use all 5 days for FID days. I think when we get to a certain point, 2-3 days, and then potentially rely on FIDs or vice versa, giving days off. So I think it's a balance. Yeah.
Good question, Chris, thank you.
That concludes our administrative reports.
All right. Moving on to committee reports, Director Apple, anything to share about Parkway West?
I have a few things, yeah, thanks. We had a meeting on November the 1st. Talking a little bit about the budget, which is coming out soon. It's going to be the first one for all 5 years of the phase-in that we had implemented, so that you might recall, instead of recalculating the amount that each district has to pay each year based on the students they've got that year, in order to smooth some of that out, so there's not, maybe a huge difference whenever you've got 10 kids going as opposed to 25 or something along those lines. It's a rolling 5-year average. So it's the first one that'll show all 5 years of that phase-in. So that's coming out soon, and of course, every district that's in the jointure has to vote on that budget, so we'll be seeing that soon. I will say that in the Allegheny County area, or Western Pennsylvania, Allegheny County area, I'll say, we are by far the lowest cost per student at Parkway West. It's a little bit over $5,300 a year, and most are in the $9,000 a year range. So it's an excellent value. We approved for the administration to undergo a feasibility study with an architectural firm to look at the kind of the options that are out there as far as construction to meet the needs that are really kind of facing Parkway West. So you'll recall, just within the last couple of years, we've gone over 1,000 students at Parkway West, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that in a couple of years there'll be 1,400 kids going there. So that's a substantial increase, and you know, they're busting at the seams already. So voted to spend $11,000 with the architectural firm to look at the just make a plan for what kind of construction and renovation we can do to accommodate that anticipated enrollment increase. It's going to take about 6 months to complete, and when that's done, I'll share that with you all. Unfortunately, the diesel teacher that Parkway West has started a diesel program in the last couple of years. It proved to be extremely popular, so they had to hire a second diesel teacher. And kind of excited because a non-traditional kind of teacher. She's, you know, it was a woman, which, you know, we thought was going to be great for, you know, showing a role model for young ladies, and, you know, to maybe look at that program. But unfortunately, she just she decided to resign. Apparently, the paperwork around getting certified to teach in the school environment was a little bit more than she wanted to do. So we do have a candidate identified as a permanent replacement, and hopefully they'll be in place very soon. I was re-elected as vice president of the Joint Operating Committee. Happy to say it was unanimous.
Congrats.
You know, it's a bonus on my pay. And also the PDE just completed a 5-year review of Parkway West. They had a very positive reaction, and that funding report will be coming out sometime in the future, and I'll share that with you all too. That's all I think.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Pathfinder, Director Hunchar is no longer here. Okay, he had to step out. You want to write anything?
No, nothing.
So you've occasionally been the,
I know that they've met.
okay.
I know they also meet tomorrow.
All
That
right.
is the extent of my Pathfinder knowledge.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your knowledge far exceeded mine. Excellent. Shazda, Director Zalewski.
No updates.
Spring.
Yeah.
Spring.
Yeah, Springfield will have our event, but Shazda is making efforts within the group of superintendents just to reconvene and get back to their monthly meetings. Shazda includes a large number of districts, and email was just recently sent out to remind people of Shazda, get people back into membership so that superintendents can network with each other and share best practice.
Cool. Thank you. Director Simsek, Legislative PSBA Foundation.
Okay, well, I'll start with PSBA. I had the pleasure of attending the delegation meeting with the delegate assembly meeting with Mr. Bilby was there as well, and that was on Saturday, November 5th, and at that time they established their legislative priority issues for 23-24. Those priorities are to provide significant continued state and federal financial investments for school districts, prioritize the mental health and safety needs of students, enact comprehensive and meaningful charter school reforms that reduce the financial burden on school districts. I feel like that's going to be like the thing forever, and has been the thing forever, but okay. Oppose efforts to provide direct financial aid to students who would use those funds to enroll in non-public schools, or efforts that would divert state or federal funding away from school districts in order to fund such programs. So those are the 23-24 issues. There was, I mean, the meeting was what, like about three hours long, maybe? You'd be surprised at how long that group could argue over the word all. Should we have the word all in there? So But, you know, I mean, people really participated and had opinions and, you know, but, you know, we still wound up having the same legislative priorities. But there were some rationales for some of the changes that they made. So, you know, they wanted to ensure equitable and affordable broadband access for all Pennsylvania students. So that was one of the things, because they did discover, of course, during the pandemic, that that was a big issue for a lot of our students in Pennsylvania. They wanted to work with the National Education Organization to advocate at the federal level for the role of school boards to provide leadership for academic success. The rationale here and the change here is that we had been working with NS, the National School Boards Association, and that changed to the Consortium of State School Boards Associations. So we're no longer with the National School Board Association. They want to provide flexibility for teachers to teach various grade levels based on their certification. So I think the discussion there was that they were trying to, you know, give more flexibility for some of the teachers and consider incentives for more students and individuals from all walks of life to pursue a career in public education. So there was a lot of discussion on recruitment and hiring and expanding the pool of candidates. Help facilitate and fund robust and innovative efforts to increase the pipeline of teachers and other staff of color, and provide the training and supports necessary to enhance more successful recruitment. So it's diversity recruitment is a big issue that you're trying to focus on. So this new language recognizes the need for the state to address issues related to educator preparation, certification, staffing, and shortages in our schools. What else? There's one or two other things. Focusing on mental health needs. They talked about ensuring the district offered online learning in any specific grade level of its curriculum receives priority, and that students of that district who enroll in any cyber charter school other than the local district would do so at the parent expense. And that was a kind of controversial conversation. People seemed that they did not want to penalize parents for their choice in where they were sending their students. So it says the item is proposed to be deleted. That was something that was brought to the group. It was proposed to be deleted because the committee believes that the platform should focus on the quality of online programs provided rather than potentially penalizing parents. And they really talked a lot about, you know, districts having their own cyber option as a means of providing that sort of education. Is there anything that I'm missing, Keith, that we talked about? Okay. So that's my PSBA legislative report. As far as Education Foundation, Purse Bingo happened on the 4th. So it was a great success. I think there were like 275 people attended. It was the first one that I got to go to, and I didn't get to stay all night, but it was really, really fun, the part that I was at. And I missed who won the big purse, but.
Yeah, I don't remember the person's name, but I can say that we think we might end up making $17,000 just for that one event.
Yeah.
And mainly that was because a lot of our purses were sponsored this year by local car dealerships, if you can believe it or not. And that took away a lot, because that's our biggest cost, is the purses themselves.
It
So
was really nice too to see a lot of our school community there.
it's wonderful,
Attending the
and
event and just enjoying, you know, everything that was going on. So it was, you know, if you haven't been to one, I suggest you check it out if there's room for you next year.
For sure.
You might need the convention center for it.
I know, yeah.
But it was a great success, and then, you know, and I put that out there to the administration too, to make sure that your teachers know, you know, there's grant money.
Yeah.
If they need grant, if your teachers are looking for grants and ways to supplement what they're doing in the classroom. So that was a really, really good event and well run by the people who've been doing it for years. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Any questions for any of the committee reports? Now we'll move on. Under agenda section 4, we have a total of 6 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve, number one, the additions to the list of conferences for the 22-23 school year as submitted. Number two, the change order number 22CRA-2 dated October 6, 2022 for the Craftston Elementary miscellaneous upgrades as attached. Number three, the real estate tax assessment appeal settlement for the extended stay hotel property identified as block and lot 140L80 at an assessment of $3.1 million for 2020, $3.175 million for 21, and $3 million for 2022 as recommended by the solicitor. Number four, the 3-year service contract extension with Direct Energy Business for power supply coordination services, PCS services, and electric supply with a start date of January of 2024. Number five, the Carlington Junior Senior High School ATSI non-Title I school plan for the 22-23 school year as attached. And number six, the proposal from Garland DBS Inc. to restore the gymnasium roof at a cost of $352,335. Do I have a motion for those 6 items under section 4?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question on 4.5, the ATSI non-Title I school plan. So within the plan itself, there's the recognition of some of the weaknesses, especially in terms of attendance rate for special population students, whether they are students with disabilities, students who are low income, or Black students, all have lower attendance rates than the general population of students. But then the plan itself, all of the recommended interventions are just general interventions. There are no interventions that are specifically targeted at those students. So how are we thinking about the fact that Black students have a lower graduation rate at Carleton? They also have a lower attendance rate. How do we make sure that we are investing equitable strategies into making sure they get to school and stay in school in order to make sure that we're improving their educational quality?
I think there were 2 parts in there. One was the Partner Up program and the
Postcards?
different from the postcards. There's another program that's specifically outlined in there where the administration is identifying individuals either from special education or Black students to be more actively involved in those specialized target groups, to work with them to increase 1, attendance, and then 2, graduation. And then with the postcards themselves, yes, is to make sure that groups of students are being identified in specific groups to encourage that and increase attendance along that way too. And then the other piece is, I believe Mr. Lochran has attended the conference through AASA out in San Antonio. There's a specialized group that with an individual who focuses in on targeting identified weaknesses for attendance with specialized groups. We got to get some more information through that too.
Thank you.
Good question.
I have not been in the district for very long, so I know that there's a PTA at the elementary school, or both elementary schools. There's not a PTA at the high school level, correct?
Correct.
So I don't know if there have been other strategies specifically related to making sure that students feel like someone's noticing when they're here or not here, and whether some of the parent groups that you've been working on establishing could help with some of those recommendations. But so much of kids coming to school is just someone knew that I would be missing if I wasn't here.
And oftentimes we hear anecdotally the teachers often serve that purpose, but could there be a more formalized approach that maybe is more aggressive and teachers have a lot going on, so.
Yeah.
Good question.
And last year when Mrs. Butler was here, then I asked about demographic profiles of our teachers. And so if she can provide those the next time she's here, because we know that the teacher diversity pipeline is so important, and having Black students see Black teachers in the classroom and know that they're there and watching out for them is going to be critically important as we diversify our district with the numbers Dr. Mantic shared.
Yep, and I think we're working on the EEOC report. Yeah, EEOC report that will reflect that information and we can share.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions for the motion on the table under section 4, the 6 items? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 5, finance, we have 2 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve number 1, the bills from October 24th through November 11th, 2022, in the amount of $1,014,461.71. And then number 2, the following reports as reflected in the November financial reports packet. October 2022 Treasurers Report, Investment Report, Board Summary Report, Athletic Fund Report, and the Junior Senior High School Activities Fund Report, all from October of 2022. Do I have a motion for those 2 items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 6, personnel, we have 3 items. I'll entertain a motion to approve number 1, the personnel agenda as submitted. Number 2, to approve Jennifer Charles as a driver for Monarch for the 22-23 school year. And number 3, the elimination of the personal care one-on-one aide position at Carnegie Elementary School due to a change of student placement effective November 16th, 2022. So a motion for those 3 items.
So moved.
Moved, do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you. Any discussion or questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 7, student activities, I'll entertain a motion to approve the additions to the list of field trips for the 22-23 school year as submitted. Do I have a motion for that item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under section 8, policy services, I'll entertain a motion to approve the first reading of the revisions and updates to policy number 251 as submitted. Do I have a motion for that item?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Old business, any director have any old business they would like to discuss or bring up tonight? No. New business, any director have new business they'd like to bring up? None. Open forum, anyone in the audience have any open forum questions for the board tonight? No. Board, any open forum questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So
I heard a move and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Rachel will just pick somebody.